work that you're actually doing that's about corporate social responsibility in the area of sustainability. And I'll talk a little bit about why that matters so much, but I want to begin my remarks and really frame them from a 35,000-foot level, if that's okay. And it seems like that's an apt metaphor given our proximity to this airport. A couple weeks ago, on a Thursday, there was a sensor in Hawaii that read the parts per million of carbon in the air, and for the first time, that sensor had a 24-hour reading that went over 400 parts per million of carbon in the air. It's been well over 2 million years, they reckon, since the Earth's atmosphere experienced that level of carbon. Scientists, for a very long time, have been watching this sort of number grow, parts per million, and have been linking it to climate change. In the recent past around the globe, but in America as well, we've experienced a variety of weather events, and weather is different than climate. So there can be weather events that might lead you to believe there's not warming, but overall, in terms of climate, for decades, scientists have been warning us about this growing level of carbon dioxide in the air. There are a lot of them that looked at 400 parts per million and said, it's a bit of a danger point. That'll get us to about 2 degrees warming as a planet. And that's a danger point. And what's even sort of more important perhaps about this is that that increase keeps happening. And we continue to grow that level of carbon in the atmosphere. We could get to 4% or 4 degrees increased warming. Now that's important for us as Americans for sure, because we have the largest carbon footprint of any country in the world. China's a bigger emitter, but we have the largest carbon footprint per capita. And the consequences of that are not just going to be felt in America. It's not just going to be wildfires in the West. It won't be simply looking at extreme weather events like Sandy or Katrina. It has global implications. And some of the best work, really recent work, looking at global implications around climate change has been done by the World Bank. The World Bank was set up to combat global poverty, looking at the world's poor. So they waded into this climate change conversation by looking at all the work that scientists are doing and the variety of national academies of sciences that have actually looked at this and said, this is real, it's human caused, and here are the impacts. And what you can see from the impacts is that it's the world's poor that actually will be hit first and worst. People hit hardest first will not be American citizens. They'll be global citizens, and there'll be people living, near the oceans, hundreds of millions of people living near the oceans or in arid places like sub-Saharan Africa, India, even some of the far sort of outreaches of China, where the watersheds are in really significant trouble because of the level of precipitation. And so this is this problem that's global in aspect, but it's solvable. It really is solvable. We can reduce our emissions. We can do a variety of things in the transportation sector, in the energy sector, in the industrial sector, to really cut our emissions in a serious way and need to have in place a goal to reduce our emissions by 2050 by 80%. Now we believe through the combination of public policy, technology, and financial mechanisms that we in the United States can actually lead the world in demonstrating how to do this in a way where we utilize domestic energy. We utilize domestic energy that's actually environmentally sound and can answer so many environmental problems apart from climate change, that we can do it in a way where there's economic development, we grow jobs, and we can do it in a way that's equitable, where we don't build out an energy system on the backs of the world's poor or even America's poor. And we think that's an important thing to do. So think about this as a value proposition. We call it the 4 E's: energy, environment, economic development, and equity.